Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Canadian Research Security Weekly Roundup. This is our 28th edition, coming to you on Friday, December 19th, 2025.
Happy holidays, everyone. This is our final roundup before the new year. So from all of us here, we really hope you get some well-deserved time off to just relax with friends and family. I mean, what a year it's been, right? We've got one more jam-packed explainer to dive into before we all sign off for the holidays. So you ready? Let's jump in.
All right, so first up, we're talking about something huge happening right here at home. It really feels like Canada is starting to build a bit of a tech fortress, really making some serious moves to lock down its own digital sovereignty.
So check this out. Queen's University is gearing up to build a world-class supercomputer. And to pull it off, they've just recruited an absolute heavy hitter, Ian Carlin. This guy comes from Nvidia, where he worked on El Capitan, only the most powerful supercomputer on the planet. And why is this such a massive deal for us? Well, get this. Right now, Canada's top supercomputer ranks a measly 78th in the world. So yeah, this isn't just about catching up. It's about reversing the brain drain, creating a brain gain, and crucially, making sure our most sensitive research data actually stays in Canada.
And look, this isn't some pipe dream from a university lab. We're talking about serious money. The federal government has put aside up to $705 million just for a national AI supercomputing facility. That's a huge chunk of a bigger $2 billion fund, and you can bet Queens, along with Bell Canada, is going to be bidding for that cash in 2026. I mean, that's a massive statement of intent right there.
Okay, so all of these moves, they all point back to this one core idea: digital sovereignty. It's a simple but powerful principle, right? It just means a country gets to control its own digital world, its data, its hardware, its software, without foreign influence. And this isn't just talk. Quebec is actually writing this into law. They've put out a new order that basically says public departments have to use Quebec-based or Canadian companies first, especially for stuff like data hosting and AI. And it's not just Quebec. Ottawa is doing the same thing at the federal level, looking right here at home. They've just signed a deal with Coveo, an AI firm out of Montreal. The government is basically asking, hey, can your tech make our services better for Canadians? And it's a good bet, because Coveo's AI is already running the show for tax agencies in places like Australia and New Zealand. So, it's about making things better, more accurate, and more secure, using our own talent. And this whole homegrown tech push, it doesn't stop with supercomputers and AI. Oh no, it goes straight into what might be the most important field of the future: quantum computing. The government just kicked off a new program, the Canadian Quantum Champions, and they've handpicked 4 companies to lead the way. And here are our champions: Xanadu, Nord Quantique, Photonic, and Anion Systems. Now, each of these firms is getting up to $23 million. And get this, it's non-repayable. It's pure investment to help them build the next generation of quantum computers. The mission is crystal clear: keep our talent here, keep our IP here, and make damn sure Canada is a leader in the quantum race, not a follower.
So of course, all this investment and focus in Canada, it isn't happening in a bubble. We're doing this because we're part of an absolutely cutthroat global innovation race. And believe me, the stakes could not be higher.
I mean, just take a look at the Netherlands. They're moving to create their own Dutch DARPA. If you don't know DARPA, it's the legendary US agency that gave us game changers like, the internet and GPS. So the Dutch want their own version to fund those crazy, high-risk, high-reward ideas that could totally change the game. It just shows you everyone is gearing up. And if you want to see just how high the stakes are, look no further than the Arctic. A new report is basically sounding the alarm. NATO is falling way behind. It's a bit of a scary picture. On the one hand, you've got NATO, whose process is called fragmented and risk-averse. I mean, Canada won't even have drones that can handle the cold until 2028. On the other side, Russia's turning out more than 1.5 million drones a year, and China is testing these wild new systems that can unleash drone swarms from a mothership. The capability gap is getting dangerously wide.
Okay, now we need to pivot, because this global race, it has a really dark underbelly. We're talking about a shadow war. A fight over ideas and people, where the stakes aren't just market share, they're literally life and death. A US congressional report just blew the lid off this. It found that China has been using American research partnerships to get its hands on advanced nuclear tech. It's pretty brazen. They looked at 4,300 joint research papers and found that half of them involved Chinese partners with direct ties to their military. This is the definition of how open science can be turned into a weapon. And sometimes the cost is tragically human. Just a few days ago, Professor Nuno Luero, a top nuclear fusion scientist at MIT, was murdered in his own home. U.S. police haven't figured out a motive yet, but now Israeli officials are reportedly investigating a potential link to Iran. They're pointing to his highly sensitive work and his pro-Israel views. It's just an absolutely chilling story. And this isn't happening in a vacuum. A new report just shed light on something called Operation Narnia. This was a 12-day Israeli campaign from a while back, but it was incredibly direct. They used over 100 agents on the ground inside Iran, combined with air raids, to literally take apart what they called Iran's nuclear brain trust. By the time it was over, 11 of Iran's leading nuclear scientists were dead. It's a stark reminder of how far some nations will go. But the threat isn't always from a foreign government. Sometimes the call is coming from inside the house. Down in Australia, the nation's biggest brain research center is suing one of its own top executives. The allegations are just wild. They say he broke into a lab late at night, stole almost 5,000 confidential files, we're talking patented research here, deleted the originals to cover his tracks, and did it all so he could start his own competing business. Just a massive betrayal.
So, we've talked about foreign threats and insider threats, but there's another front in this war. And that's when science itself gets caught in the crossfire of politics and ideology right here at home.
And we're seeing a couple of really stark examples of this playing out in the U.S. On one side, you have the Trump administration looking to take apart the National Center for Atmospheric Research, a top climate science center, claiming it promotes climate alarmism. Then, on the other side, you have the Department of Health and Human Services under RFK Jr., which just cut millions in funding for the American Academy of Pediatrics. The official line is about identity-based language, but this came right after the Academy criticized new vaccine policies. So in both situations, you're seeing vital scientific programs, infant health, autism detection, climate readiness, potentially being shut down over political disagreement. Over in the UK, we're seeing a different kind of ideological pressure, and it's having a chilling effect. After some recent policy shifts and court rulings, trans academics are saying the climate has become increasingly hostile. Researchers are using words like exhausted and terrified. It's gotten so bad that many are thinking about leaving the field entirely, just because they're worried about their own safety. Okay, so we've got this global race, we've got espionage, we've got political attacks. When you put it all together, it funnels down into one giant fundamental dilemma that the entire research world is wrestling with right now. Because here's the twist. Despite all these threats we just talked about, the push for more openness and more collaboration is as strong as ever. And it makes perfect sense, right? Look at the UK. They're jumping back into the Erasmus student exchange program with the EU. That's a huge reversal of a post-Brexit policy. And in South Africa, the government just greenlit a new open science policy to make research available to everybody. I mean, at its heart, science is all about sharing. And that right there is the million-dollar question. It's the question at the very heart of research security. How do we do both? How do we keep the doors open for that amazing global teamwork that leads to incredible breakthroughs, while at the same time protecting our work and, more importantly, our people from those who would do them harm?
It's this constant, delicate balancing act. You can just picture it, right? On one side of the scale, you have this deep, fundamental need for open collaboration. And on the other, you have the very real and frankly growing risk of theft and espionage. These two things are always pulling in opposite directions. And trying to find that perfect balance, well, that's the daily challenge for pretty much every research institution and government on the planet.
So, as we all get ready to sign off for the holidays and look ahead to 2026, I want to leave you with one last thing to think about. What's going to be our biggest challenge next year? Is it going to be the technical stuff, building the faster computer, the better AI, or is it going to be the human stuff, protecting the brilliant, creative, and sometimes vulnerable people who are actually building that future for us? Something to chew on. From all of us, have a truly wonderful and safe holiday season, and we will catch you in the new year.